What's up everyone, Matt here, and you're watching TS Moto Adventures. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. I am heading down to North Carolina to do this. Holy I'm attending a sand riding class put on by Zacker Adventures. That's the same place that did the adventure riding course that I did a few months back. If you haven't watched that video, be sure to check it out. But before I head down to North Carolina, I gotta put the DRZ in the back of the truck and get everything loaded in and start my 6-hour drive. Staying with a friend tonight, and then tomorrow morning driving the other 2 hours to where the course is happening. And from there, we're gonna have some fun. So, let's get to it. Alright, so I've got everything loaded up, double checked everything, and I think we're ready to hit the road to North Carolina. So let's get the hell out of here. So we're all fueled up again, and we're about a little over an hour away from my friend's house here in North Carolina. It's been smooth sailing, the weather's phenomenal. It's 74 degrees down here. It's so nice. Overall, it's been a super easy trip down here so far. Alright, so I made it, and it's like 6:30. Just gonna hang out for the night and get up bright and early tomorrow. Catch you guys then. Alright, so we're gonna take the bike off the back of the truck because we out here. One of the things I forgot to do was add gas to this thing, so I'm gonna fill it up with my rotor packs.
Wherever you look, as you hear 1,000 times every time you hear somebody talk about riding, where you look is where you're going to go, right? So if you're sitting here trying to balance, you look at the ground, you're going to go to the ground.
So before we get into the fun, we started off by doing some basic skills practice and training. A lot of this is all focused on balancing the bike properly. So we started off by just walking the bike all the way down the range and back. That way you can get a feel for where the balance point of the bike is, so it feels almost weightless as you're moving along. After we finished that up, we moved on to stopping and putting your foot down on alternating sides while sitting. So again, this is, you're just moving along, putting your foot down on the left side, putting your foot down on the right side, getting used to what that feels like. After that, we moved on to doing the exact same thing while standing. It's a little more challenging, but if you've got some experience riding, you definitely get used to it. Now, the next one is something that I had a lot of trouble with until I actually just realized that it's all about balance. And that's putting both legs over one side of the bike and riding. So you've got both your left and right leg over either the left side or the right side, and you're riding down, and you're actually working to counterbalance the bike to keep it upright and moving forward. It's pretty cool, and it's something that I definitely want to spend more time practicing. Next is counterbalancing in turns while standing. This is super duper important for off-road because you always want to counterbalance to the opposite side of your turn. So that way, if you're turning right, you're balancing off the left of your bike to keep pressure on that peg and to keep pressure on the wheels and your center of gravity and your point of traction and everything there. That's what keeps you upright in low traction environments. The very next thing we did is, again, same exact thing, but while sitting. This is a little more tricky because you have to actually shift yourself around the bike a lot more compared to standing, but still a very valuable skill to have. And after we finished up the practice here, it was time to ride out and hit some sand. So enjoy this quick montage.
Well, that was fun. I'll see you guys later.
So that was our first ride through the sand. We had a few people drop their bikes. I almost dropped mine, as you can see, but it's definitely an interesting experience. So from here, we kind of stopped for a minute, gathered our thoughts, dusted the sand off some of our bikes, and got ready to dive in once more. There's a lot of different things that we did throughout this class, but I think one of my favorite was getting the opportunity to just kind of ride really fast up and down this sandy area here. It was super duper cool. So take a look at that. I think I got up to like 35 miles an hour, which feels insane in the sand, especially with your front end all wobbling around, but it was super duper cool.
Holy shit, that's fun.
So from there, one of the things that we did was ride out to this little kind of like lake area thing. So it was basically riding through a bunch of different sandy tracks here, as you can see. And we ended up getting to areas that had lots and lots of mud pits, basically. It was just these giant holes full of water. One of the things that was mentioned to us was to try to avoid going through these like straight on, because some of them are deep enough to swallow up like Jeeps and side-by-sides. And apparently this place we're at, a few times in the past, they've witnessed entire bikes go underwater. So as you can see, we're kind of cautious about that, going around the sides, trying to avoid going through them directly, and making sure that none of us like lose our bikes and hydrolock them. Like that one right there, that thing right there, super duper scary. Don't want to go through that with a bike. Definitely didn't want to lose my bike this early on. It didn't help. It was raining the entire day before this, basically. And there was a little bit of rain throughout the day as we were there. But one of the really nice things about that is it deterred a lot of the guys with side-by-sides and ATVs from coming out earlier on, which meant we got a lot of this space to ourselves, which was super-duper cool for all of us that were trying to learn without embarrassing ourselves in front of a bunch of side-by-sides. I did manage to do that, but you'll see that in a little bit. So we got to the lake over here, and then from there, one of the cool things that we ended up doing was doing some single track riding, this is one of the first times that I've ever actually done single track riding. So it was really fun to get in there and kind of get into it and get used to riding around narrow single tracks with my bike, especially with a bunch of other GSs in front of me, as some of them are struggling to keep the bike up. I don't know how you guys do it, but I definitely do not envy you guys on those big bikes. We ended up doing single track stuff a couple more times throughout the day, which was kind of cool. Got to go through a bunch of different terrain, try a bunch of different things out, experience stuff that was both sandy and muddy and like covered in pine needles, so slippery. It was pretty fun. But let's get into the more interesting things here, like me dropping my bike and embarrassing myself. As you can see right here, I managed to drop my bike right in front of a bunch of guys on some ATVs. They didn't really say anything, which was nice, but this next one, oh boy. We managed to lose one of our riders at some point going through some of the single track, so we kind of split up in a couple different directions to go find him, and I ended up following into this area that was very deep sand, and I started to struggle a little bit, and, well, dropped my bike. Also managed to break my double take mirror, which is pretty impressive. And as you see, we've got this group of side-by-sides that decided to roll up and leave some comments for me.
Hey, Mail picking it up.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you, though.
That's sand,
Yeah. That's all right. Shit happens. I broke a double take mirror. Holy fuck.
Hi, buddy.
Oh yeah, that's sand.
Oh yeah, I also managed to get my bike back up and then got probably about 30 or 40 feet further and dropped it again. So yeah, there's that. Riding in sand is one of those things that I am super duper glad that I decided to take a class on how to do before just going out and doing it myself, because it is challenging. It is exhausting. You're using your full body to keep the bike upright. You need to constantly be paying attention to what's going on. And when your front end starts to have some craziness going on and you start to like wobble and shake, you just need to understand that you need to loosen your grip and you need to throttle out of it. Overall, taking a sand class, totally worth it. Highly recommend if you're ever going to get yourself into situations where you're going to be riding through sand. Getting that experience beforehand makes it so much easier to deal with when you actually encounter it in the wild.
Oh, holy shit. That was tiring.
Well, that was amazing. I had such a good time. It was just... the experience was, oh my god, I can't really even like put into words how awesome it was to do that. Riding in sand is one of those things that I had little to no experience with, and after just a full day of ripping around, I feel so much more comfortable in that kind of terrain. Granted, I definitely not sure if I'm ready to start hitting sand dunes yet, but if I encounter some sand while out there riding, I'm definitely going to be a lot more confident and a lot more comfortable in it than I was in the past. Huge shout out to Zacker Adventures for putting on an amazing class yet again. If you guys aren't aware, I did an adventure riding course last May, right after I got the DRZ. You can check out that video up here. But if you have the opportunity to do either an adventure course or a sand class like this or something like that, do it. You won't regret it. The skills you learn and the reinforcement of some of those basic skills is so crucial, and it's so worth it. I definitely recommend if you have the opportunity as well, take a class through Zacker Adventures. Todd's an amazing guy and does an amazing job teaching his classes. That being said, I am like sore everywhere. My legs are sore, my back's sore, my wrists are sore. I woke up this morning and I didn't want to get out of bed. But I had to get up, I had to come back home, I had to close out this video for you guys. With that being said, I'm exhausted, I'm gonna go to bed. If you're interested in checking out more, watch these two videos over here because they're pretty awesome. And as always, until next time, ride safe.